Hello and welcome to another episode of the Love, Life, and Energy podcast. My name is Michelle Chung. I'm your host today. I'm a love coach and I help women to manifest their soulmate. So, this episode, I really wanted to talk about a very important topic. It's going to be how to break up with the habit of attracting the wrong men. This episode is about breaking up but with a habit that doesn't serve you anymore. So if you keep attracting the wrong men and you realize that it's an unhealthy pattern of relationships that are not fulfilling and they don't make you happy, this episode is going to help you out. So what I've been doing actually is studying a lot about how the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, and the superconscious mind. And it was all through reading a book by Dr. Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief. It really gave a lot of the keys to the answers that I was looking for when it comes to why do we get certain results? So, why do we keep getting the same kind of relationships? Why do we end up in the same kind of jobs? Like, I remember when I was, in my younger years, and I trained as an industrial designer. So I worked in the design industry in manufacturing, and I just, kept getting the same kind of job. I would leave after a year or two and then go for another job that was the same but higher pay. And that was acceptable, right? But if we keep doing that in our life, we keep doing more of the same. It's like the Albert Einstein quote that I use a lot. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So in the job situation, yes, you expect a higher pay, but you end up doing the same kind of stuff, or you ask for more responsibilities and more tasks, right, for the higher pay, the compensation of the higher pay. So, where do we do this in other areas of our life? So I was noticing I was doing this in my relationships. I would be in love with one relationship anymore and then move on to another relationship. And it was like, hey, I can see a pattern of these guys were similar. They're all really good guys, really lovely, really nice guys. But I had this pattern that I was attracting men who were more feminine than me because I was the alpha woman kind of thing. I was much more masculine, I suppose. So that was me attracting men who weren't, not that they were more feminine, that they weren't masculine, but they just let me take charge because I would naturally do that. And I would do it too much, and too much to the point that it was like, hey, I'm sick of leading these relationships. I just want someone to look after me. I just want someone else to make the decisions. I don't want to make the decisions all the time. And I just want to be taken care of as well. Like on the inside, I'm a softie, but on the outside, I seemed really tough. And that's what I got from feedback from some of my past relationships. So when I started reading this book by Dr. Bruce Lipton, I was just so I was just so blown away because it all suddenly started to make sense. And it's funny because I never took science in school. I was never thought of myself as being a scientific person. But he says that quantum physics is actually the most true of all the sciences. So, in this book and in further study and training that I've been doing to so that I can have the skills to help people to reprogram their subconscious programs, and I'll talk a bit more about what how that relates to your relationships and your love life. And in this further training, I've learnt a bit more about the subconscious mind and how that actually works. And so I'm going to go through it in as much detail as I can because I have written a lot of notes. But basically, the relationships that you keep attracting is based on the subconscious programming that you received as a child or in your earlier years when you're growing up. So, what does this mean? Well, firstly, we have to kind of separate what is the conscious mind, what is the subconscious mind, and what is the superconscious mind. So, in a nutshell, the conscious mind is the creative mind. So, that's you with your imagination, that's you thinking all the time. And this also represents your identity. It's a source, and it's the 10% of your brain, and that's the front part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain that we're using the most, and that's only 10%. So have you ever heard how people have said, oh, we're only using like 10% of our brain capacity? We actually have a lot more brain capacity that we're not using. So what is that? So the rest of the brain, the 90%, is the actually subconscious mind. So you have your conscious mind. This is helps you with the creativity, imagination, and you can use this as the pathway to manifest or create the life that you desire. Manifest just meaning bring things into reality. So if you want to meet your soulmate, how can you bring that into reality? How can you take the actions? How can you come up with a strategy, a plan on how to meet your soulmate, right? So with this conscious mind, we use it to create systems. And I was very good at that. Being a designer, I was creating systems or products, and I was able to make things real, like literally out of nothing, right? Your thoughts are like basically nothing. It's all just energy. And as a designer, I would create something in my mind, and the manufacturing process, like I would create the CADs and give it to my bosses, and they would send it off to the factories, and all of a sudden my ideas became real. So that's kind of like what manifesting is, and that's what the conscious mind does to help you create something out of nothing, basically. And this is where that positive thinking comes into place, and is a very important part, that this positive thinking and that power of thought can actually help you heal. Or what I say, I don't believe in healing, but I believe in homeostasis. I believe in coming back into a natural, neutral position for the body and for the mind, which is health. We are designed to be healthy. We're not designed to be falling ill all the time. It's actually the things that are happening to us that make us ill or not get the things we want. And I'm going to explain that a little bit more in this episode. So the things that you are thinking, that those positive things and equally negative things, can have a huge impact. And so if you stop and think, how much do you worry each day? How much are you overthinking every moment of the day? And if you think about it, if you did that in a positive way, how much different would your life be? Because if you feel like you're always in the negative thinking and worrying and doubting, look at what is happening in your life right now. Those are the results you're getting because of the way you've been mentally processing and what your conscious mind is doing right now. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so that's the conscious mind. That's the 10% of your brain that you're using. Now, the untapped resource of our brain, which is the subconscious mind, is the rest of the brain, which is that 90% I was just talking about. And this subconscious mind, what Dr. Bruce Lipton says, is it's not like you can talk to it like you can talk to yourself in your conscious mind. You actually can't. Well, if you talk to your subconscious mind, there's no one there. He basically says it's like you are a computer, that the subconscious mind is the hard drive, and it is just there to download programs. And you use your conscious mind to download those programs into your subconscious. So your subconscious starts to get that imprinting if you start using your conscious mind to repeat things over and over, which is why they say using affirmations, repetition, consistency, that imprints that program into your subconscious mind, and it becomes like a habit. So we talk about how to break the habit of attracting the wrong kind of men. So this is what we really need to understand as a whole of humanity, and how to use our brains in a much more efficient, effective capacity, right? So I was out with some friends the other day, and one friend was saying, "Oh, I was asking my subconscious, should I do this or should I not?" And I actually said, "Well, actually, the subconscious is not about giving you answers. It's just about carrying out the programs that you've already uploaded to it." So and I'll talk about that in a moment, but when you ask yourself, should I do this or should I do that? Should I follow this? That's actually asking your intuition, which is the superconscious mind. And I'll get to that in a moment. But basically, that subconscious mind, if you think about it, so it's imprinted with all the programming you've had as a child. And it's not good or bad. I think a lot of us start to say, oh my gosh, then the subconscious mind is the enemy. It's the demon that's like ruining my life, right? No, it's not. It's only because of the programs you'd put into it growing up as a child that's been imprinted in you aren't serving you anymore. So in the past, those programs were absorbed when you were a child up to the age of 6 or 7 or 7 or 8, he says. And that's the programming you were very unselective about because it was just that's just how humans are. When you're a child, you are in more, they say, a theta brainwave state, which is very easily absorbed. That's when you're in, I think, in your deep sleep state, or it's a state when you're able to absorb energy and vibrations much easier. So when you're a child, if the programming you had around you, your environment, impressed upon you that relationships are difficult. You see your parents arguing all the time. They're worried about money all the time. They're worried about food and oh everything's too expensive or we should get the cheap thing. Guess what kind of imprinting you get as an adult? And you kind of wonder, oh, why did I turn out like my parents? And this is exactly why. So it's not your fault and it's not their fault either. So we try not to blame our parents, but we accept them and we love them because we just said, well, they did the best they could with the limited knowledge that they had. They didn't have the internet. They had less access to this kind of information than we do now. We have access to so much information. And so what they did the best they could with the imprinting that they got from their parents. So imagine they were trying to level up and do better for themselves than the previous generation, and we're trying to do the same and level up from our parents' generation. And even our kids these days, they've got access to internet, they've got access to mobile phones. As babies, they're already looking at programs and TV shows on your phone to keep them busy, right? We never had any of that. So they've got instant access to programming all the time. So it can be, it is very powerful, but it can also be dangerous if you're not imprinting the right kind of programming that you want, right? So be quite careful. And it's pretty cool actually, because my bestie Kat, who we had on the program last week, and she chose me to be a godmother to her eldest child, and I was like, why are you asking me to be the godmother, like? And she said something really cool and really profound that stuck with me, and very honored to be Ari's grand godmother. But she said, Kat said to me, because you have different beliefs and different way of looking at things than we do. And that was such a beautiful way of putting it, because having different variety of beliefs can help a child become more objective about life and be kind of like, oh, well, I don't have to have the set of beliefs that my parents had. Maybe I can borrow Auntie Michelle's. Maybe I can borrow, my neighbor's beliefs around money. And that's exactly what happened with the famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I love this book. I read this when I was like 28 and changed my life. Mum had it on the bookshelf, and I was like, oh, I'm going to start reading this. And basically, Robert Kiyosaki, he chose different, he had his own parents, but they were very kind of working class beliefs around wealth, money, and abundance. And then he saw his friend's father and was like, how come he's so wealthy and my parents are so poor? And then he thought, well, I'm going to hang out with my parents, my friend's parents, and I'm going to borrow their beliefs, and I'm going to put aside my own programming from my parents. I'm going to see if I'm better off listening to my friends' parents, because they're wealthy and they've got the results, and I want to be wealthy as well. So Robert Kiyosaki went and did that, and that became a really famous series of books on how he imprinted upon himself the healthy beliefs about wealth and abundance and money, right? So it's so fascinating how you can actually change your own subconscious mind and your own subconscious beliefs. And I guess that once the thing is also, like I said, it's not good or bad, and it's basically just a recording device. It it is a playback mechanism, so it will play back and be on autopilot those things that you imprinted on it. So for a really easy example is like, when you're a baby, you learnt how to walk. First, you crawled, you were moving your arms and legs in coordination, and you learn how to walk, but you never had to relearn it, did you? Unless if you had quite a serious brain damage or brain injury, you might have to relearn this process again, right? But what you learned in your conscious mind that was imprinted became part of your program in your subconscious mind. Then all of a sudden it's like, I don't have to think about how to walk, right? It's the same with driving a car. So at first you learn it. I remember, when I was in Sydney, I was driving on the left-hand side, and then now I'm in Spain, I had to relearn how to drive on the right-hand side of the road. But after I'd gotten through the fear barrier and I raised my level to a vibration of courage, and I broke through that level of courage barrier, then I was able to absorb this new information, teach myself, oh, I can drive on the right hand side, and it's just opposite to the way I was driving on the left hand side. But after I've learned this and imprinted into my subconscious, I didn't need to be like consciously checking anymore. Things became a reflex. I started to check the mirrors in the right direction. I was changing gears with my right hand instead of my left hand. So all these things can be changed and learned, right? And the way, so it's like I said, it's basically like we're the most advanced computer in the world, and we basically designed our own computers, the laptop that you're probably listening from or watching from this episode. Our brains are like the most advanced computer, and while our conscious mind can only handle several units of processing information, our subconscious mind has a huge capacity, because remember, it's got that 90% of the space and the capacity allocated to it. So think about how powerful your subconscious mind is, and that's really what is ruling everything in your life. 90% of that programming has already been done and has been sabotaging you because it doesn't align with what you now want. So does that make sense? So because the programming you had previously may have been to keep you safe, for example, keep you safe from relationships that were like your parents, if you didn't agree with the relationship your parents had, then your subconscious mind would say, no, 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 we don't want that kind of we don't want that kind of relationship. But you start to attract that because that's what is in your programming. It's what you're most familiar with, and even though your subconscious mind um, did this for your own protection, like you created these rules in this programming for your own protection as a child, now it doesn't serve you anymore because you're not a child anymore. You're an adult who's trying to seek a different kind of relationship, but your programming is against what you really want. So if that makes sense. So now it's all about how can you uncover that programming, the mental and emotional blocks that have been in your way. And if you've been trying to find a relationship for a little while, for several years, or if you have just broken up out of a relationship, but you have started noticing a pattern, then this is an amazing first step, just that awareness, right? And this is going to help you just become more aware of what is inside your subconscious programming. So for example, I had one student of my online program, she wrote to me and she said, wow, that was so powerful because I now realize I have a pattern of attracting married men. And that's for her own process to figure out why she was doing that. But simply recognizing that's what keeps happening to me. That's why I keep having these kind of relationships that don't last the long distance, because they weren't with the right kind of men, right? And the thing is, we have to also be compassionate with ourselves, because we probably had, as Dr. Bruce Lipton says, 70% of our subconscious programming probably isn't good for us. So if you can remember, and I remember as a child myself, I was criticized. I was the youngest one, and my brother teased me. bullied me. And, I being the youngest child, I was not seen. I was not heard. And it was kind of like the way it was back in those times that you're a child, and my parents' role was just to make sure we survived and we're healthy and we had good education and enough food, and it wasn't so much about our mental and psychological health. That kind of stuff didn't really exist back in those days. Emotions, that wasn't really acknowledged back in those days. And so we grew up with this programming that perhaps I'm not worthy, I don't deserve love, I can't express my emotions, I have to do things right in order to be loved. So all these things, these stories that we've created as children because we wanted to protect ourselves, our subconscious started to create this program to protect ourselves. And so we have to realize now that, these are programs that really don't they really don't serve us anymore. So now, okay, so basically your life, it's a printout of your subconscious programming. And when you're trying really hard with your conscious mind to change your life, but you don't realize that your subconscious programs are running the show, that's why you're not getting the results. And that's why it's so hard. And that's why you get that self sabotage, right? So, how can you actually identify what those programs are? So the conscious mind is the mind of reasoning, and you can ask questions, and that's why life coaching is so powerful. It's asking questions to get underneath and start to say, why do you really do that? What is really at the bottom of that behavior? What is the root thoughts and emotions, and what is wrong? What is actually the benefits of you behaving in this particular way? And so these kind of questions can help you understand more. And because we all have the answers within ourselves, we are all able to heal ourselves and make our lives better. We all have that capacity and genius within ourselves to do that. But we're trained to think in society that we need to go to a doctor, we need to go see a therapist, we need to take a pill, and someone else will heal us. So now what we're starting to change into is, yes, we seek professional help, but the the mindset is more that that person is there to guide us and to support us in our own healing journey, or our own journey back to homeostasis. And that's what life coaching is about as well. Your life coach should never tell you what to do or what you should be doing or what you didn't do. They need to let you arrive at these conclusions for yourself. So that's part of that consciousness, that questioning that helps you uncover the real truth. And when you're in your thinking mind, so I had some clients who were very much in that overthinking, and that really brings you into your conscious mind, but it doesn't allow you to be present. And so introducing the super conscious. So you have your conscious, subconscious, and super conscious. So the super conscious, and this is really interesting because I was just starting to learn this myself through the Psych K training. And this is basically the spirit self. So if you believe in God, or if you're religious or spiritual, then you may believe that there is a superconscious. So it's another mind, or it's your higher power that actually can give you the guidance and deliver the intuition and deliver the answers that you need. And all you need to do is ask. So this is what my friend was saying when she was asking herself, what should she do in this particular situation? So when you ask your conscious mind will start to ruminate and think up all these logical answers. But if you are able to bypass that and ask your superconscious and say, hey, intuition, hey, higher power, is this decision the right decision? Should I do that or should I do that? And you'll find that will give you the answers that will be more aligned to what you truly desire. And this is going to help guide you to make the right decisions. And as I said to another friend, every decision you make will always be the right decision. Because you either get what you want, the result that you're looking for, or you get the lesson that you need. And that's perhaps what has been happening in your life with your relationships. That if you haven't been getting the relationship that you wanted, you're getting the relationship that you need, the lesson that you need to see. And that's why it's so powerful to review your past relationships and look at what is this pattern that I'm seeing? Why am I attracting these guys that are not right for me and they don't make me happy? Why, you know, this awareness in itself, like I mentioned before, is one of the first keys, one of the first steps to having the breakthrough to change, to start to change your subconscious programming. So it's part of my online program Manifest Love is firstly to release this old programming that doesn't serve you anymore. And then the second step is to rewrite. So what are the new healthy beliefs about relationships do you want to have? That relationships are easy, relationships are effortless, that the right guy comes to you like easily without you trying, without you chasing, without you having to do the dating apps or trying so hard to meet guys and changing yourself to be the ideal that you think someone else is going to like you for, right? You can have these new beliefs and ideals that relationships are actually effortless and easy. And wouldn't that be a much better way to attract someone than thinking, oh, it's like my parents' relationship and oh, I might get divorced if I meet somebody. So notice that you can actually shift your identity in this way and it becomes such a much more powerful, permanent transformation. Okay. So hopefully this has helped you in understanding why you're trapped in the cycle of attracting the wrong men and how to break that habit of attracting them and to uncover your mental and emotional blocks is to start questioning and using your intuition and using some tools that can help you gain more awareness. And that's really the name of the game, just to gain that more awareness. So if you have any more questions about this, please contact me on my Instagram. It's at Michelle Chung Coach. And make sure you check out my free online training as well. I'd love for you to check that out and see and let me know what you think. And I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks so much. Bye.